Hello, everyone, and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host, Logan Landers, and today we're going to be talking about a very special player profile on a quarterback who's playing with the Chicago Bears right now, Jaylon Johnson. Now, you guys know I can't do all this alone. I got to bring on one of my special guests. I bring on guests all the time, but this guy, he's one of the most diehard Bears fans and one of the most knowledgeable Jaylon Johnson guys I've ever met in my life. I'm bringing on my dude, Andrew Hooper. How you doing, man?
How's it going, Logan? Thank you so much. So, I'm Andy Hopper. I'm out of Champaign, Illinois, so it's about 2.5 hours south of Chicago. Like you said, diehard Bears fan. I've been watching and listening to the Bears on the radio since I was a kid, and I'm super excited to talk about Jaylon Johnson today. He's had an insane rookie season so far, but thank you so much for having me, man.
Of course, man. Well, before we get started, guys, be sure to, if you like this video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. We are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Also, be sure if you don't like watching video, you want to listen to the audio experience, we are with the Belief Podcast Network, where you can check us out over there or anywhere you like to listen to your audio experience, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, or Google, anywhere else. We are over there as well. And all these videos that you hear or are watching right now, they will be up tonight to replay. So I know I got to keep watching a few of them, get the numbers up. So hopefully we can get some new viewers over there too. But without further ado, let's get into it, man. Let's talk about Jaylon Johnson. This guy is looking very solid, like you said, for the Bears at the moment. But let's do it. So he's 6 foot, 195, cornerback for the Bears. He was in Central High School out of Fresno, California. And some of the stats I found in there, he didn't play too much of the defensive side of the ball. I was pretty shocked to find out. He had 23 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 3 PDs. But like I said, he's mostly used as a wide receiver, where he was very solid as well. But that's not too much to ask for, because we see that corners are pretty much like wide receivers in that sense, that they're interchangeable, especially in high school. So this man, Jaylon, was so good, he was able to get offers from a lot of high-profile teams. Like we said, Utah, where he ended up committing. The USC Trojans, the Tennessee Volunteers, Georgia Bulldogs, which is where we're from, out of Atlanta, the Florida Gators, and Oklahoma with the Sooners. So my first question to you, man, what did you think about Jaylon coming out of high school? Did you ever hear much buzz about him? And what were your thoughts on him, just kind of looking at his stats and stuff now?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I didn't really hear a lot of buzz about him coming out of high school. If you look at the recruiting profile, he's got all the major offers. This is a 4-star kid coming out of Fresno, out in California. You mentioned, not playing a lot of cornerback in high school, more at receiver, but at that college level, when you get up here, that's kind of what you want at the cornerback position, right? The best athlete, the guy that's going to be able to keep up with those quick receivers. And you could tell during his college career that he played a little bit of wide receiver in high school with those 7 picks. I'm sure we'll get to that later. But, as a recruit, looking back now, Under Armour All-American, Utah really got a good one, getting him over programs like Oklahoma, you mentioned Georgia. He spurns the hometown Fresno State, Michigan, Oregon, Tennessee, USC. These are blue blood programs, and that's not to say that Utah is not a good program, but definitely, if I had the opportunity to go to an SEC powerhouse over Utah, I'd probably pick that. But also, he probably saw an opportunity to step in and play right away as a freshman, right, which he did at Utah.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up there, because you don't know if he did choose to go to, let's just say, a Georgia, a Florida, a Tennessee, one of those higher ranked or higher profile SEC teams. He might not have been starting his first year. He might have had to, do like a lot of freshmen do. They might have had to redshirt and just, watch some film. But I think he knew if he chose Utah that he would get a lot of reps and he would get he'd get a lot more experience quicker than he would as if he went to one of those other high profile schools. But like I said, he went to Utah, so let's talk a little bit more about that. So he played 3 seasons at Utah, 88 tackles by himself, 7 picks, and 21 passes defended. So this man was all around the field at Utah. And whenever I was watching the highlights, doing some research on him, man, he was very solid. He was one – I didn't know too much about him going into the draft and whatnot, but once I saw some footage on him, and I'm like, okay, this guy, he got picked in the 2nd round. 50th overall by the Bears. I'm like, okay, this guy's got some potential to him. I like the way he plays. He's got a certain swagger about him too, a good confidence with him. And I think that helped him in college. So what did you think about him in college? What were your thoughts on how he played for the Utes.
So you mentioned a second round pick. He drops to the Bears at number 50, which thank God for us. Bears don't have a first round pick last year, and we essentially have one in Jaylon Johnson. He's first round talent, struggled with shoulder injuries throughout his college career that kind of set his draft stock back a little bit. But we're talking about a 2019 All-American, first team All Pac-12 cornerback twice. 38 career games with 29 starts. That shows longevity. Even if he was hurt, he was 29 starts in college. You think about it, that's a lot over 3 years. 7 career interceptions, including as a freshman, he had a 100-yard pick six, I believe, against BYU. So he was already making an impact his freshman year. 21 career pass breakups. We're seeing that translate to the Bears now. He's tied for second in the NFL with 12. And then, gets it done in the classroom as well. 2-time Pac-12 all-academic performer there. When you mentioned his swagger, he wore number 1 throughout high school and college. I believe as a freshman in college, he had to switch to number 7, but he got to switch back to number 1. And I was watching a player profile that he did with Jeff Joniak, the radio voice of the Bears. And he was saying, I just always liked that number 1. I wanted to be the number 1 corner. I wanted to be the best player on the field every time he stepped out there. So he does have that confidence and that swagger about him.
Yeah, I like the way he plays. He carries himself good. Like you said, he's a very smart guy. And it translates on the field as well. So I like the way he plays. But let's talk about the combine because, like you said, he had those injuries coming into the season or coming into the draft and whatnot. He had a torn labrum, but he ran the combine with it too. So with that torn labrum, he was able to run a 4.5 40-yard dash, which is very impressive. He had a vertical jump of 36.5, and he was able to do 15 reps of 225 with that torn labrum. So he pushed through the pain, and I believe he had to get surgery. I think it was a week later after this combine results. So that really impressed me. How did you think about it? Did you think after watching his combine results, did you think that he would get drafted by the Bears? Did you think he'd be a good pick before he actually got drafted to them?
I mean, he really wasn't on my radar, if I'm being honest with you. But you look and to run a 4.5 with the torn labrum, I'd like to see what it is now, fully healthy. I'd like to think 4.4, maybe. I don't want to say sub 4.4 because it's getting pretty fast there. But man, I really was not on my radar. Actually, funny story about the draft: the Bears pick comes up and they take Cole Kmet, and right there was Antoine Winfield Jr. and Grant Delpit, 2 amazing college defensive backs that I wanted them to take, and they ended up taking Jaylon Johnson a few picks later, so it doesn't matter. But arguably, Johnson's played better than Winfield and Delpit so far this year, so I think the Bears really won on that. I think as far as his combine performance with that torn labrum injury, he actually has an older brother, Johnny, who played cornerback at UCLA, who suffered a similar shoulder injury that actually ended his career. And Johnny is now Jaylon's trainer and works really hard with him. And Jaylon was talking about it in an interview I was watching, how hard he works for him. He uses that as motivation, seeing as his brother was so close to making it, and Jaylon's right there. So I assume that had to be that extra motivation there to push through a torn labrum.
Yeah, and it for sure helped his draft stock too, because I think going into it, a lot of guys were thinking he could maybe go first round if it wasn't for that torn labrum. But he kind of fell into the Bears' laps, honestly, and it's worked tremendously for him. Like you said, he's doing better than those 2 guys you just mentioned previously. While, yes, the season is still young and this guy is a rookie still, he's looking very good. But let's talk about what I like about him, some of the intangibles he has. So, like I said, he's got time to grow. This kid is very young. Like you said, coming out of Utah, this is his rookie year. So he's only 21, and he's looking very good for a 21-year-old. There's also immense talent at that cornerback position with Kyle Fuller, who is one of the top cornerbacks in the league. I love his style of play, so he's learning a lot from him, 7-year veteran. And also what I like about Johnson here is, man, he's solid in man coverage. Anytime I see him 1v1 with somebody, he's almost guaranteed to get a stop. Because like I said, he has got all those passes defended too, a couple picks. He's stuck to you like glue, I'm telling you that. Those active hands too. It's always good to watch, especially like in your man coverage and the guy is coming off the ball. You got to see what the corner is going to do with his hands. how he's going to try and negate the receiver from getting to his route and how quick he's going to get there. And Johnson's got all the tools to do all that. We see there the picture I got, and if you guys can't see it at home, if you're listening to the podcast, Johnson's just leaning back all the way to try and stop this ball from being caught by, it looks like Kenny Galladay for the Lions. So he is very good. And I think, I don't know about you, Andrew, but I think he can be a potential cornerback number 1. Right now he's number 2 on the team, but I think he could grow into that CB1 potential. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he definitely has that cornerback 1 potential for sure. You talked about like the interceptions is something he's going to have to work on. You know, he has had a couple opportunities where the ball has just slipped through his hands. We mentioned 7 interceptions in college, so you know it's there. You know, right. He's able to do that. So I think that's just more of like as he grows into the league, he'll be able to, you know, work on those interceptions, get that better. He does have 4 penalties on the year. I saw an interesting quote. He said he never thinks about those. He always thinks it's clean until he goes back and looks at the tape. If he gets a penalty called on him, you know, 4 over 9 games, that's not a lot. But there have been a couple that have been, you know, PI calls that stretch out a drive for the other team. But, you know, you mentioned how good he is in coverage. I'm big on PFF grades, and his coverage grade is 57.4. Overall, it's 55.5. This hasn't taken into account the Week 9 game against Tennessee. I got these numbers last night. I don't know if those updated yet, but he's ranked number 72 among all cornerbacks, ranked number 8 among all rookie cornerbacks. So he's been very solid, like you said. He's had at least 1 pass defended in all but 3 games against Atlanta, Tampa Bay, and New Orleans. But he's also had at least 2 pass deflections in 5 games. And that picture you have up of that game in Detroit, he had a career high 3 pass deflections, and that's a debut. We're talking about a guy that the Bears front office didn't even know if he was going to be ready for week 1, and he's starting alongside Kyle Fuller as a legit number 2. So will he be our number 1? Maybe when Kyle Fuller's time is over and he moves on. You never know how that's going to go. But I like Jaylon Johnson as our corner, a solid piece in our secondary, you know, for the near future. But he's also been kind of effective in the pass rush as well, you know, with a pass rush grade of 60, you know, and he really worked during college on his tackling, and that's been evident. He's only missed 3 tackles all season. That's a percentage of 9.7%. And then you mentioned in coverage, I want to get back to that really quick. He's been targeted 50 times and only allowed 25 receptions. That's pretty great for a rookie cornerback. You're talking about the adjustments, the different kind of athletes you're asked to cover in the NFL compared to the Pac-12. And that's no shade on the Pac-12. That's just facts. This is professional football we're talking about here. Yeah. So just really impressed. And I mentioned earlier, he's 12 pass deflections on the year. That's good tied for second in the league. The only James Bradbury in New York has 12 as well. And then Carlton Davis in Tampa Bay has 13, but Davis also has 4 interceptions. So I'd like to see Johnson, you know, disrupt the quarterback a little bit more, catch a couple of those balls that he's dropped, but there's really no other complaints. You know, 28 total tackles. And then he's also used heavily. He's actually top 5 in the NFL in percentage of snaps per game. So hopefully he's durable and that doesn't, you know, wear on him as the season goes out. He's able to stay on the field, but you got to like what you see so far from this guy.
Yeah, I like the fact you mentioned he is very durable coming off of that torn labrum, like we said. And he's only going to get stronger, too. Now that I feel like he's going to have a very solid rookie year as he's having at the moment. But he's only going to get better, I think, over the years to come once he gets stronger, faster, and all that with the great NFL trainers that come here. But I'm interested to see. I got one more question for you. If the Bears can manage to get in the playoffs this season, right now they're 8th in the NFC, and they're right behind the Packers in terms of the North. How do you think that Johnson, and as well as the Bears as well, how do you think they would fare in the playoffs? Do you think that Johnson could potentially have like a breakout game if they're able to get there? Because we see all the time, you hear some random guy, if you're not a fan of the team, kind of come out of nowhere and be a star overnight. Do you think that Johnson might have that potential if the Bears are able to sneak into the playoffs?
Oh yeah, I think because you have to look at it this way. When you have guys like Kendall Fuller and Eddie Jackson back in that secondary, the teams are refusing to throw Eddie Jackson's way. That's why you see that Johnson's already been thrown at 50 times. We know how Kyle Fuller isn't afraid to beat you in coverage, but he's not afraid to hit you as well. I definitely could see Jaylon Johnson having a game just by the volume, the amount of times that he's being targeted by other teams, and he's held up well. And I think it's just only a matter of time before he makes a big play and gets that interception. Would it be in a playoff game? I'd love to see it, and I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, we'll have to see if the season goes on, but the Bears are right, like I said, they're right at the edge of the playoff contention. Hopefully they can get another push and get in there. I know as a Bears fan, you're looking forward to that, hopefully. So,
I mean, the past 3 weeks have been pretty rough. The 3 weeks that I kind of saw coming. You're talking about a team that was 5-1, now 3-game losing streak to 5-4 on the outside looking in. Minnesota Monday Night Football next week, and then you got to play the Packers and I think the Lions as well. So it'll be rough. You take care of business against Minnesota and Detroit. I think the Packers offense is really good. Their defense leaves something to be desired, but I mean, let's get back to the profile. Sorry.
Yeah, like I said, just for the Bears real quick, this is where you really got to find out if you're going to be for real this season. You're going to play. These are some games that you should win, and then there's the games that you need to win against the Packers. So we'll have to see. But yeah, like I said, just one more thoughts about Jaylon Johnson. I love this guy. Kind of a slept-on pick, like I said, but I'm happy for him. He's doing really good, and he's already adding to that stacked Bears defense. And hopefully he'll be good for a few more years to come in Chicago. So thanks for coming on the show, man. I loved having you on. Do you have anything that you would like to promote for all the fans at home?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm the host of the Brew Party podcast. I'm actually going to have Logan on next week.
Yes,
we're going to chat about football and some fun stuff. So I have interviews, hot takes, gambling picks. I do a weekly gambling segment with my buddy Ryan, which has been really fun. So find us on Facebook at the Brew Party podcast, Twitter and Instagram at the Brew Party. And we're on YouTube as well, the Brew Party. You can find all of our social media links and episodes at www.thebrewparty.com. Available Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. We do a lot of live streams as well. So that's on Periscope, Facebook Live, YouTube. Like I said, interviews. We've talked to professional athletes like Olympic gold medalist Ryan Held. I've talked to reality TV star Alex Menard. Has been on Naked and Afraid and Naked and Afraid with Sharks, and which is absolutely insane. And also The Amazing Race. I've talked to a rapper that has over 500,000 streams on Spotify, and then various basketball athletes that play over in Europe, like Trey Demps, Alex Ola, Michael Finke, and Jordan Caroline. And then as well as just, my friends, regular people, other podcasters, other bloggers, stuff like that. And former Illinois defensive end Bobby Roundtree, as actually from the Florida area, just came on, shared his story after suffering a severe spinal injury that, ended his career as an NFL hopeful. That's a really awesome story. So yeah, check me out, the Brew Party podcast. You can follow my personal Twitter, Andy Hopper, at ahop23. But Logan, thank you so much for having me. I love talking about Jaylon, and then I'm excited to have you on next week and talk some more.
Yeah, guys. Be sure to check me out next Monday on the Brew Party. I'll be talking with Andy about whatever we got on story that day. So I'll I
still need to put that show together a little bit, but just football will definitely be one of the main topics for sure.
Whatever you throw my way, man, I'll be with you in stride. So thanks for coming on the show, man. Guys, be sure to go follow the Brew Party on all their socials as well. They got a great team over there, and they have really good podcasts and everything like that. So I love the work you guys are doing. I appreciate you coming to the show, man, talking about Jaylon Johnson. This guy's going to be very good in the league, I think, and I know he's going to help your Bears hopefully get a few more wins. So for my guest,
we need it.
For my guest, Andy Hopper, man, thanks for coming on the show one more time. I'm your host, Logan Landers. This has been 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. We'll be talking to you guys a little bit later on in the week. See you guys.